at an age of 14, 15 minutes, get on a plane, do a shoot, come home. If it was back then, go to school, do your homework.
What's the craziest story that happened to you?
Oh, there's too many. Being in a room that's just full of fire, being in water, walking with an elephant. They have to pee every 15 minutes. If you see me on the airplane, I'm crying. I wanted to be mom more than anything, so I didn't even think what that means for a model. It's not that important.
What about AI? H&M just replaced their models.
Why keep everyone around that's mediocre? It's easier to use AI. But if there is still these core people with great values and who are so good at their job, yes, people will still want to be around them.
How do you become that model? Coco, thank you so much. I'm enjoying this camp a lot, giving me so much energy. And this is your 147th time doing it. Where does the energy come from?
I honestly, sometimes at the end of it, I'm like, wow, we did that one more time. But it really has to do with the energy of the room. And as you saw, sometimes at the beginning, people could be shy or bashful. And you're like, oh, gotta get it out of them. And then there's a moment, something changes in the room and everyone's excited. So it's really not my energy. You're feeling their energy, and it helps me too.
How do you manage this? So you have a camp that runs 10 times a year. You are a top model. You have 3 kids, and you also have a modeling agency, and you invest in businesses.
Yes.
Okay, tell me how this all works.
Yes, I think that it's funny how people see the name of anybody like Coco Rocha, and therefore she must do it all. It's beautiful teams. We have a fantastic team led by my husband here at Model Camp. I have fantastic managers at Nomad, but plus my personal managers, who again, my husband is my manager. So I guess like family oriented is really important. Like we keep our business and family, it's close at hand, because as you see, my daughter's here. It's not like it's one and the other. It's all one thing. So we make sure that our teams can support us, personally, that can be part of the business. We have great grandparents that help with the kids. I just think like the behind the scenes is what people don't register on, especially content creators, models, athletes, actresses, and actors. They usually just think it's just us doing all the work, like we're some sort of Superman.
But it's still a lot of you, right? You're leading this thing. You're here on the weekend. And then you probably have to travel in the next 2 weeks to another part of the world.
Yeah, and I guess in my mind, that's normal. Like this is how I've grown up in business. At an age of 14, 15 minutes, get on a plane, do a shoot, come home. If it was back then, go to school, do your homework. Then I started having more businesses and more opportunities. So I don't really know any different. So when people say you're busy, I'm like, yeah, I guess I am. This is just kind of how it's always been. So they do say, give a busy person something to do and they'll get it done, right? It's usually the people that do have multifaceted things that people are fascinated by, but they're the ones that are like, no, I can get it done for you.
Yeah, and your husband is always with you.
Yes.
And I used to work with my husband when we stopped. And the reason was I didn't feel safe because all the eggs are in the same basket. Like the whole family during the pandemic, we're in the travel business.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. Have you ever had these thoughts of like,
I'm sure I've had a moment or two with this turbulence on a plane, and I'm like, we're both on this plane. But on the other hand, I try not to think in that kind of way. My mom was a flight attendant, and so she traveled always, and she was a single mom, although my dad did live a few provinces over. So in my head, it was kind of like that was all I had, and she was able to travel and do things and support me. So I still think like we live a safe life. We don't do anything too crazy, and yeah, I have thought of that. However, I like to think that because we do work together, we get to share things that most couples don't get to share ever. Like our date nights, people laugh. They're like, oh, don't talk about business. I'm like, that is our life. We do. We sit and we'll talk about what happened the day or what's the next project, what's the next ideas. Most couples don't get to do that. They don't even know what their significant other did. And then plus, we get to bring our kids. So yeah, I guess there's the pros and cons of stuff, but I see too many pros of us working together. And funny enough, I think most people, because they think they'll fight. Like, I can't be with them all day long because we're just going to have too much, friction and tension. We don't fight about work. We'll fight about like, oh, why didn't you make the bed and why the dishes not done? But it's not work. We're very level-headed when it comes to work. We have the same ideas. Usually when he's saying something, I finish the sentence. So we're compatible to work well together, and I do love it. And I hope my kids, if they ever want to like continue family business, if that's what you call it, they have a chance to continue doing it with family.
Oh my God, this girl's story is so inspiring to me. Just imagine, she started her career at 15. She's still going. And it's been over, 25 years? And she runs several businesses, and she's a mom to 3 kids, and she's managing everything like a pro. How? By mastering time management and focusing on what she does best. As a business owner, mom of 2 for now, and a full-time content creator, I can say that it's not just about managing your time and having a solid team. It's about using the right tools that make your life easier. That's why I'm so excited about the latest update from Gamma app. It's one of my favorite time-saving AI tools. They are no longer just for presentations. They now can help you create websites, documents, social media content, and more. So whether you're a consultant, solopreneur, educator, marketer, or sales pro, Gamma is the ultimate all-in-one content creation tool. And the best part, with Gamma, you can create it in minutes, not hours. Just watch how Gamma turns my ideas into a stunning LinkedIn carousel in just a few clicks without touching any design tool. Let Gamma make your work easier, faster, and more impactful. It's the tool that allows you to focus on what really matters while it takes care of the rest. Unlock the power of AI at gamma.app.
And you've been in the career for 20 plus years.
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta do a little math sometimes.
Yeah, and you mentioned something that it's not about like, of course looks are important, but it's how you network, how you behave on this, at the set, on the scene. Can you walk me through that, like some of your networking tips and how you're nice to people?
I think I will talk about it later in some of the classes, but one of my favorite quotes is, it's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. And I think too many models, again, might start their careers with this belief that one day I'll be such a success and I can just, I don't know, be intense, aggressive, nasty. I can do whatever I want because people love a villain. And models aren't villains. The models I know that have made it and successfully made it over and over and over are truly the nice ones in the room. Most. It's like a 0.something% that make it to the top, but will usually be very thoughtful and kind. And it really, like, in the end, if I were hanging out with someone for 8 hours and they were just so lovely, but maybe their ears are a little quirky or their nose is a little funny, I'm gonna think it's beautiful now. But if I see someone that I truly thought gorgeous, but internally started to be nasty, rude, somehow they don't look so gorgeous to me anymore. And I think that is how it works in fashion. Some people might wonder, like, why is Coco around? She doesn't have unique features, nothing of, I'm a brunette girl.
I think you
but I'm not like,
when I first saw
I'm
you
not
on the
lowering
red carpet,
myself.
I'm like,
You're
oh,
so
whoa,
cute.
whoa, whoa.
But I'm not
amazing.
lowering myself or saying like, oh, I'm not pretty. I'm just saying some people could say that. But maybe once they meet me, they're like, oh, I get it now. That's what I think most models at top are. So for all my models that are starting and are so focused on how they look, looks do matter, like you said, to a point. But then most people are just going to be gravitated to you because how you work, how you treat people. And
this energy shows, right?
Yeah. And people just realize you love your job. I want to be around someone that loves their job, not someone that sucks the energy out of a room,
100%.
right? Even though they're gorgeous.
What about AI?
Yeah.
H&M just replaced their models. They kind of replicated some of their models. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I think right now we're going to play around with it. And it's going to be a little shocking, right? It's in the press. If we keep using it, it might not be so shocking. We might not even care. But there's something to the live audience, the real thing. For example, you think of theater. Who needs Broadway? No one actually needs it. We can go watch a movie on Netflix. It's very easy to sit in my bed and watch TV and see something quite fantastic. But there's something about the in the room, the experience, to watch someone do it right there. It's just something different. I don't think we're going to lose that for the next little while.
What about the commercial though? Like if it's just, all of the websites that are selling where you're just required to sell like that.
And it could, you know what, maybe they do start using AI for the simpler things. But we're in a room full of models that don't want to do the simpler things. Isn't it interesting?
Yeah.
So yeah, models can complain all they want and say AI is taking over. But then on the other flip side, they're complaining that they have these jobs where they just stand there. What do you want?
Yeah.
Do you want the job where it's boring but you get money? Or are you complaining that AI is taking those? So I don't know yet where I stand on that, but when it comes to the very theatrical photo shoots where the performance has value, I'll see some people will use it because they're just maybe cheap is easier. But there are the people that want the experience.
The art, right?
And they want the art, and they still exist. And so they'll do it that way. Just like, do you know there's a ton of photographers that still use film? That's not easy. They should probably just use digital cameras, but they love the experience of film, and they'll continue to use it. So it is going to be kind of like most creative fields. It will start to crumble, and we'll figure out what's going on. But then there will be the light of the tunnel for some individuals. And that's why I say to the models, it's important that you're actually good at your job. Because why keep everyone around that's mediocre? Why keep them people that complain or are mean or nasty? It's easier to use AI. But if there is still these core people with great values and who are so good at their job, yes, people will still want to be around them and watch them because it's live art.
How do you become that model? Do you think social media for a model is important, social media presence?
Yeah, I think that we are, and we're going to have this class a little later, but there's going to come a time where our content creators or bloggers or, whatever you want to call them, and models or traditional models, it's going to be warped into one. You will not be able to model without having a substantial part in social media. And those that have started off in social media, you're going to have to find a way to make sure that your artistic eye is not just this one direction, because people get tired of that. So you have to learn to be a muse to other people and sell products that aren't yours. It's one. I think it's so strange how both worlds look badly at each other. Or it's like, you can't be part of my club. Well, you can't. You do. And so models need to take a note from content creators, because they took something that was nothing and created an empire. And yeah, content creators look at models and go, how did they get from nothing to all of a sudden on the covers of magazines? We have stuff that we should learn from one another.
Yeah. Do you think there exists a fast track to becoming a top model these days?
Yeah,
you go viral on TikTok and suddenly you're... But like Emma Chamberlain is such a great example, like how she entered the fashion world just being a YouTube creator.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
But how long was she trying to be a YouTube creator?
Yeah, she's been creating on YouTube for over 10 years,
there
right?
You go.
Yeah.
So I think people say something is fast, forgetting that there was years before that.
Maybe not fast, non-traditional, right? Because she
and
never
I love
started
non-traditional.
Walking the catwalk.
Yeah.
She was just making those blogs, and suddenly she's the face of Miu Miu and Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, and I love that. That's how I wish models would think now, because so many want a traditional experience to almost validate, oh, I'm a model because I traditionally did the model path. And nowadays I'm like, why does that matter? And no one's looking at me going oh, traditional, you're the better ones. It's just wow, look at you creating something and people actually resonating with it and they're obsessed with it. And here you are in this new category that you never saw yourself before. How great is that? No one is going to care. I don't think they should care. Were you scouted in a mall and then you went to an agency and then you became a big time deal. I prefer actually the models that had background in creating something on their own and they know what it's like to achieve and fail, so that when they bring it to modeling, they know how to successfully do this and not do it.
Do you get any backlash from the fashion world? This is not
this is
too
not fashion.
Artistic. This is not fashion.
When I started, for sure, I got a lot of, not so much phone calls, more like in-person meetings saying, continue using these platforms and we won't work with you anymore. You're watering down the aesthetic of a fashion model. Now look, all of us have to be on it.
Did you lose any contracts for that?
I'm sure, not lost contracts, but I'm sure I lost opportunities I wasn't even aware of.
Wow.
And I still think to this day, some people might think I'm gimmicky. Some people might think, Coco used to do such of the traditional world, and now look at her, she's doing sort of these silly, a TikTok video. Oh. But then I have to say, for my business, do I actually want to work or support people that do not see how the future is going? So then it actually is a relief for me to not have my name associated, because those individuals or those companies are going to figure it out soon. But if they don't figure it out, they're just going to die out as a company. And so I'm fine that I wasn't associated, right? So for all my people building businesses or your modeling careers, it's okay to hear the word no, because they don't see your value. And maybe one day they will, because they realize in growth that you were on the right path. Or maybe, guess what? You were on the wrong path. And in growth, you do find yourself with them. But I never say, don't burn the bridge. I don't need to say to someone, you're wrong and I'm right. I bow out gracefully, thank you for your time, and we'll see where we're at another year, another 2 years. But at this point, social media has not done me bad, except maybe lost a few opportunities, and those people are now catching up, figuring out how to use this platform that they should have started a long time ago.
Yeah, that's great. But have you ever thought of like slowing down at least? With 3 kids, you're doing so many things. Were there any thoughts like, oh, maybe with this I need to stop, but like double down here so I can be more with my family?
I think people must think I'm always on the move and traveling. I am very much a stay-at-home mom a lot of the time. Again, those businesses are run by some very beautiful, amazing partners and also teams so that it can all flow. I mean, no joke, my husband is the man behind the scenes. And honestly, I trust his judgment and his decision-making that he'll pretty much be like, hey, you have this option. What do you think? I'll be like, yep. And then I kind of forget about it. He'll be like, and that option is now a job and you're going tomorrow. I just get to literally show up and be around the kids, go to school functions, take them to their like play dates, I'm with them all the time. It's my favorite thing. And so that's our deal, is that he does all the computer work behind the scenes and I'll show up for the jobs, but please let me like hang out and be mom. And he's so great at letting me just having those opportunities.
So I'm trying to understand your schedule. So in a month, how many days are you a normal mom?
Every day.
Every day?
I, for example, this morning woke up. My middle boy, he has a project on tornadoes. And so we woke up together and we worked on the project together.
You woke up at 6 a.m.?
Yeah.
Because the camp started.
Yeah, so 6 a.m. He got up, so we got on tornado project. We had breakfast together. My littlest was with Grandpa having a sleepover. And my oldest, as you see, is here. So everyone gets a little time. And then after I leave at a very specific time at model camp, I get to go and I tell the models, I'm going home to be mom now. And usually everyone respects that. I'll have movie night with them. I'll do bath tonight. I put everyone to bed, wake up. They have school tomorrow. Well, James will run them to school before we have model camp. So we're there.
Yes, that you're involved.
Yeah, we're involved. And they're right now hanging out with grandparents.
And you have your grandparents here, so when you travel, grandparents...
Sometimes, yeah. So grandma right now is from England. She's here for a little bit. My mom's from Canada. She'll come for a little bit. And James's dad lives nearby. So we always just have like someone nearby. And then we have, like I said, some great staff who are literally like their brothers and sisters.
That's great.
They're older, and they love them. As you see, like I only just went with one of our staff members. She thinks of them as their big sisters.
That's awesome.
And it's great because they need support in different ways. And it doesn't always have to be mom and dad, but like they can share with other people. It's fantastic. I wish I had this when I grew up. Not so much the modeling, I'm just saying the support. It was me and my mom. And then when she was gone, I had babysitters. And
you had 58 babysitters,
58
something like that. I've heard that
good
number.
for you. 58 babysitters. And
That's
not
crazy.
all of them were great.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the support. So I think being very present is very important to me. And it is the hardest thing when we travel, say, to Cannes or to Paris. If you see me on the airplane, I'm crying. I am wishing to be with them. And I know that it's only 5 days, and I don't do that quite often. But it bothers me, and I think it's young Coco, when her mom left, comes back, and she's missing. But I know my kids are like, see you.
Do you tell yourself, this is the last trip, this is the last trip?
Never is it the last trip. It's just, it'll get better. And it's, again, when I leave, they're fine. They're like, I'm with my grandparents, I'm with my brother and sister. I have play dates planned. You've filled my days that I'm going to have fun. It's me. It's my little, like, remembering how it felt. And it's funny how that's just never gone away. So I really make sure it's always special with them.
Yeah, mine cries. So
yeah,
this is probably the last trip, but I might have to work next one as well.
And you know what? They're good. I look back and I cried when my mom left, but also I'm not like, how horrible.
Yeah, it's not like lifelong trauma.
No, but it's things that I'm like, I wish I was on those trips. I bring my kids, and I'm sure you're going to like do more and more with them the older they get. School gets in the way. But it starts to be so fun where we get to share all this together.
But can you walk me through this decision when you're like, I'm going to have this kid and then the second kid and third kid, and I'm a top model, and my body is basically my product, right?
Oh, so the first time, honestly, I didn't probably know enough to know. And
How
that's
old were
probably
you?
good. I think I was pregnant at 24,
Oh, wow.
24, 25.
Mhm.
And it was just an excitement. Like, I wanted to be mom more than anything. So I didn't even think of like what that means for a model. I probably announced it too early because everyone's like, oh, she's pregnant, so she has a bump, so we can't work with her. And I was like, oh, well, why am I working now? After having baby, my body seemed to have gone through its natural course, and a few months later, I was able to go back to work. I was excited to go back to work, whereas some people say the models are pressured they have to do it immediately. I thought of it as I can't wait to share my new life with my baby in my world that I love. And so as a model, it is fascinating. We get to kind of decide things when we go to work. Like, I can decide if I'm bringing my kid or not. I can decide, well, I need to breastfeed.
Yeah, right?
Mom's has to work, but also mom has to take care of you. So if that meant like bringing a grandparent while they'd watch them and I'd shoot and then I would feed. And then at certain points, like, okay, they can stay home and I'll work. But other times I'm like, let's just bring. Why not?
Yeah, with the third kid, like when you know what it takes when they're 2 years old, 3 years old, it's like a completely different involvement. Or you're like, oh, maybe I should postpone.
No, the third one was the day they announced COVID was the day I found out I was pregnant.
Oh, perfect timing.
So I was like, I'll just
like,
be staying home being pregnant.
Awesome.
It was a little nerve-wracking because you're like, there's something growing in me that I want to protect, and the world is crazy right now. But no, the third one, I wanted another baby. So there was a time where my life, I allowed the industry to, and I say it in a generalization, it's not all bad people, but the industry dictated what I would do and how would I do it, and like, be thankful and don't mess it up. And I think that I was so over that, that anything when it comes to my decisions now, I won't ever allow that to happen again. So I never really have thought like, oh, why did I get pregnant? I'm going to mess this all up. It's because I knew that being a mom probably was going to be far more fabulous than doing this 5 more years. If they told me you were done. And here we are today. We're not done. We're still doing it. And I'm glad I took those opportunities. But yes, I know some models that they wouldn't get pregnant because they were so worried about the career. And I'm like, the career is not to me, is not that important to change my entire course of life just so I could be relevant for 1 more year.
Yeah, and you've done so many other things differently in the industry because you advocated for, in New York, right, that girls are now treated as actors, minor girls are treated as minor actors. When you're doing these changes and you're like changing the whole thing completely and you get hate, what is your mindset? Like, how do I continue pushing? What is your support system?
In 2013, there was a flaw. Before 2013, there was a flaw in that there was no protection for underage models, and then we were able to fix that. I thought in my mind, wow, this is going to be that moment in my career where people will look back and be like, remember that time that you did that thing? And I thought it was always going to be a positive reaction. And my first photo shoot after that, I got like a big round of applause of the shoot, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is how it will always be. And then one individual just jumped at me and was like, what did you do? Who do you think you are? Because your career is, falling, you thought you should destroy the rest. And I was like, wow, someone believes that? And the room didn't know how to react, so they didn't do anything. And I thought, oh my goodness, never mind the positive. I might actually be entering rooms where people just can't stand me.
Yeah.
And it hurts when you have stuff like that, where you realize you're not trying to be the whistleblower. You're not trying to be mean or nasty. You're just thinking that people would like to take care of their models and like to take care of their children, and they didn't see it that way. And so, I sometimes still have a hard time in rooms where people look at me and be like, goody two-shoe, the girl that always wants to like better, but is she really that better? I second guess a lot of what people are thinking about me, and it's something I'll have to probably deal with forever.
How do you deal? Does it fade away?
It doesn't fade away. I'll have great days where I walk in a room and I can tell someone's not into me. I'm like, that's fine. And then other days you're like, why do I feel so vulnerable and nervous? And I'd say to anyone, you're never going to have an appropriate reaction. It's just how you're feeling at that time. Hormones, sleep, deprived, sick, empowered or not, that is going to dictate how you're going to react to things in that moment. So I never can look back at a moment and be like, you should have done better. That's how I was going to react at that moment for what I was going through at that very time. So that's how I deal with it. And I'm okay if I do cry sometimes from a reaction or response. And I'm proud of myself when I react otherwise. But you're right. You do want to have a team. You want people that can talk to you and be reasonable with you.
Yeah.
James is that person with me. It sometimes annoys me how reasonable he is. I'm like, no, I just want you to hear me cry. But he will. Like the other day, I had a moment and reasonably told me some stuff. And I was like, I needed to hear that. That's exactly what I needed to know. I knew it, but I needed to hear it. So for people in business, again, stop finding the yes man, the person that always says yes to you and agrees with you and tells you whatever you want to hear. You do need the no man sometimes. And as much as you hate it in the moment, you don't really want to hear that you did wrong or you should have done this. Those are the people that really will benefit your career or your businesses.
I like how you explain this. You do not avoid these feelings. You lead through them and you're like, yeah, this is... Yeah, because I thought when I was just starting out the creator career, I was like, probably once I'm 10 years into it, I just developed this immune system against hate. It never happens.
Also, it's because you're a good person. So good people, you're not going to turn into some sort, I hope you don't turn into some robot that has no feelings anymore. I hope you react. I hope you're like, oh, that ignited something that's frustrating me. But if you all of a sudden just like nothing bothers you, that's strange. Yeah. And I don't want that for people. But like you heard me in class, I do want people to like hear, feedback on a photo shoot and not assume it's always negative. Like not everything someone says to us should be translated as like, they don't like me, they hate me. Yeah. And I think that's one thing we all need to add in our filter system is like filter that a little before you judge it completely.
Yeah, and like thinking of yourself as a business.
Yeah, that's just figure it out.
Business, me, producer, it's
all
the difference.
And so sometimes I remember saying to people early on in my career, this person bullied me and this person did this and this and this. And looking back, I was like, no, they weren't trying to bully me. I just was immediate response was that's what they were trying to do. So I always say like filter it, just make sure like what you are seeing is what exactly they're actually giving. Yeah. And to your surprise, you might realize not everyone is a meanie. Not everyone's trying to be a bully. Depending on their background, their upbringing, where they live, they might just speak matter of fact.
Exactly.
And you're from a place where you're a little more soft in your approach.
Yeah. I need some beauty tips from Coco. Coco, who has 3 kids and travels around the world. So when you're going on a 16-hour trip for 3 days in China, I don't know, what is your strategy of staying alive?
Yeah, you know what? I could sleep on the dot. Like on a plane, I can really just fall asleep, wake up, start. As moms, I think we're very sleep deprived. So I think it's actually great for our kind of work because you can take a few hours and start the day. I don't think I have the greatest answers when models ask me or people ask me, like, how do you do it? It's, again, like there's light at the end of the tunnel. When I get back from that trip, I'll go back to normal life, normal experiences. I'll be able to go to bed and sleep. But right now, it's chaos. And so get through it. And
just survive.
Just survive.
Melatonin, I don't know. Like,
no.
Just
and also, like that to me, try to find positive out of a negative. The negative might be, oh my goodness, I'm gone for hours and I only have to be there for a few hours and then back on a plane. I get to go watch movies and eat on a plane, sleep, and no one's pulling my clothes. Even though I'm upset that I'm not with them, there's also like, wow, there's this piece and a little like this movie I've always wanted to watch. Yeah, there's something exciting about that. So try to find the like excitement in things that you might dread. Yes, it's 16 hours, but also how cool that you get to hang with your bestie, have a champagne, watch that movie, do your job, and then come back. Life is not that hard for especially the content creators and the models. We're not curing cancer. We're not fighting wars. So I think a little sleep deprived, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, this reflects on all your work ethic, like what you're talking about, like during the show. Love that. What's the craziest story that happened to you throughout your career?
There's too many. You're going to hear later. I'm going to save those for tomorrow night. We have I share all my silly, crazy photo shoots and stories. But you name it, it's probably happened. Weird stuff like working with animals, they're not fun. Being in a room that's just full of fire, being in water, working with an elephant, they have to pee every 15 minutes, so you have to get the photo and then they gotta go. Working with other people's children, it's kind of hard because it's not even your child. We call it guerrilla style, when you don't have the right to be maybe in a building or on the grounds, but you're shooting really fast and hoping no one gets you in trouble. Yeah, things where it's like you can't control the sun, you can't control the environment, but you have to produce this moment. Those are usually the most challenging. And then, of course, the team. You never know if you're getting, a good team or a bad team early on in your career because you don't know everyone. So that, I think, was the challenging moments is like, oh, I have a bully on set, or, oh, this person, they're just not fun to work with. But now I get to, let's say, per se, get to pick my teams a little more. And so it's great. It's fun. I love having a shoot where it's just full of laughs and giggles, and we create some fantastic things.
We're almost done. I just actually wanted to show you some photos. Just a sec. What would you say to this Coco? Any advice for her?
That photo looks so much like Ione right now. It's kind of crazy. I remember shooting that in like lower Manhattan. I remember it being so lost in like movement, didn't know what I was doing, but playing with my hair, my long hair. The photographer was like, yeah, keep going. And all the photos, it's just me tangling my hands in my hair. Around that time, I do remember hearing from a photographer saying, he showed me a photo of a famous model at the time. Her name was Gemma Ward from Australia. And he wanted me to copy this pose. And he said, be like this model. And then he said, you'll never be like her, but like try to be her. And I look back at that, and what a strange thing that guy already decided that I would never make it, but try to make it, but you're never going to make it. And I think it's such a shocking attitude to come to anything being like, well, it's never going to happen, so why even try?
Yeah.
And that time in my life, I remember hearing a lot of that. You're never going to make it, but like, I guess just do try. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to try now. You've told me I can't have it. I definitely now I'm going to try for it.
Who is Coco Rocha in 5 to 7 years? What are you doing? Where are you?
Coco Rocha, I'm assuming, is still working with the next generations. If it is model camp, if it's in other ways, I think that this will never be something, education in fashion is never going to die out. Right, it evolves, and I
think you should call this camp Coco Rocha Confidence Camp for like all women, because it's for everyone. So it's just for models.
It's true. It started off for models, assuming that's who wanted this information, and you're right. Since then, it has been all sorts of beautiful people coming in here with the intent of like producing imagery in their businesses. But yeah, maybe it is going into like life coaching of confidence in another field, but it is still something special to me. I think we have something beautiful here, and we're at 5,000-ish models that have come through here.
Fascinating.
I would love to hear that number in the tens and the hundreds of thousands, and that to the point where the industry has slowly evolved into something far more beautiful than it is right now. We're on a good path and journey, but we need to like go faster and quicker.
So would you say this is the most exciting thing you do now in your career?
I think that this is the most fulfilling when I see the feedback of what has happened to the models. Like when I hear like a year's time from now and like, wow, James will be like, that girl, she came to model camp. I'm like, wait, isn't that, oh my goodness, I just saw her. That's always amazing. Not that model camp was the moment that changed their career, but it's just fun to know you had a little bit of part of it.
Yeah. Coco, thank you so much. You're exciting. You're fascinating. Everything that you do is so much inspiration for everyone watching. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here. Get ready for your next class now.
I need everybody to hear this. The middle class will be in trouble.
Do you think it's our last chance to build wealth?
It has the chance to create hyper micro wealth, but I think a lot of people are gonna check out of this era.
This is Gary Vaynerchuk, serial entrepreneur, best-selling author, and early investor in Facebook, Twitter, and Uber. He predicted TikTok, talking to computers, and the creator economy before anyone saw it coming. And in our lifetime most unpredictable moment, I went straight to him for answers.
What would you do if you have a laptop and AI?
I would build an app that's $5 to $50 a month, make unlimited organic content, and try to...
For me, as a person in Silicon Valley, I can totally see how Anthropic releases new lines of codes tomorrow and this business is done. Why would I start if it's already being automated?
Because everything you learn along the way will set up your next thing. What are you gonna do, lay down and cry? I'm asking you.
Ну что, Гэри, делаем по-русски?
Да, по-русски вообще.
Твое первое интервью на русском.
Один раз я делал.
Серьезно?
Один раз in Chicago. I was like, I showed up. I didn't know. And they went and I just battled and got through it. It was pretty cool.
Well, you do speak Russian, which is
Я говорю
amazing.
по-русски.
I'm glad you... Да, хорошо, что он у тебя остался. Ты уже
Спасибо.
50... Сколько ты?
50, да.
50 лет в Америке.
Crazy. 47.
47.
Я приехал, когда я был 3.
I actually want to talk about AI and what's happening. And, I've been watching you for 8 years now. So I've been preparing for this interview for 8 years. And what I noticed about you is that you're right at so many things. I remember you predicted TikTok, and you're the reason I started TikTok. I have 3 million followers there because you were like, you need to start a TikTok.
Yes.
When you're looking at this AI era, do you think it's our last chance to build wealth right now?
That's a great question. One of the things I try to do is when I talk about things publicly, I've spent a lot of time thinking it through. And I've seen indicators of actual human action that shows me an insight to the earliest of preview of something I think will be at scale. So that's why a lot of my predictions have worked out. It's like when I talk about our grandkids marrying AI robots, well, it's already happening in Japan.
It is.
And so to me, that's not a long putt. That's just something that's happening in a part of the world that clearly to me is a human psychology. And so it's going to work. Your question's interesting because my intuition is it has the chance to create hyper micro wealth, the fragmentation of, vibe coding and all this stuff and the stuff we're already seeing, right? Kids building out products very quickly and having success. On the flip side, you're also alluding to clearly the super scalers, right? When you look at what Meta and Microsoft and Google and Apple, like the biggest and companies in China, like you could see a winner takes all scenario where 12 or 13 companies. My gut is that the economy and the consumer behavior is so large that yes, there'll be 25 companies that take so much, right? You look at, Adobe and Salesforce and ServiceNow, SaaS companies. I mean, SaaS companies are clearly coming out of an incredible 30-year run and now walking into a potential buzzsaw. I saw a headline yesterday. I don't know if it's true. I mean, just, I was busy yesterday, but maybe it was Claude just gave everybody a Bloomberg terminal for free. Those kind of headlines seem very real to me. They seem really natural, but it's almost like Meta or Anthropic or someone else is going to eat up more Bloomberg and ServiceNow and Salesforce. It's like the battle of the titans.
Yeah.
And then over here on the scraps, well, the scraps actually might be quite big. And it might be a social media-like era where literally all of us become vibe coders. Just like I thought, one of my great predictions in 2008 was everybody would have a social media account when it did not seem like that.
Yeah.
Is everyone going to have a mini app that is monetizable because they themselves were able to build it, not need a developer for $500,000? I don't know. I believe that the middle will be in trouble, and the middle might be a VaynerMedia, but I have a feeling the separation of the middle class of entrepreneurship and could be real. The difference is the long tail could be quite at scale, maybe even then creating this middle class. I don't know. If you put a gun to my head, I would say, no, it's not our last chance.
Okay. So we have a few years, right?
I think so. And again, let me take another counter just to build on this conversation. If it is our last chance and 79 companies make all the money, governments will get massively involved.
Yeah.
And it may lead to a nirvana, back to where we come from and where we're sitting. Could extreme capitalism mean a different version of socialism? Right?
Coming back to the roots.
You know what I mean? Could a world where there's only 100 companies that make 80% of the monies, would they then be forced to subsidize all the displaced workers? Do we live in a 3-day work week environment with the other 4 days subsidized from the companies that we work from? Do we have more leisure? Do we get more into the arts and family? And do we have side projects that make these micro pennies? I don't know.
So what if tomorrow everything crashes for you, like VaynerMedia, you lose your followers? What would you do if you have a laptop and AI?
If I lost my reputation and my personal brand, but I kept my knowledge of how to make content on social, I would build an app that's $5 to $50 a month, and I would make unlimited organic content on LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, and try to get customers.
If you want to stay ahead in the AI era, I bring you the people who see what's coming next every week. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss it. That's a very interesting approach. I just talked to Bill Gurley, who's like a legendary investor, and he told me you can't even imagine how many websites are there that are just like passport photos that charge you $6. And yes, AI can do that, but because we're still so used to going to a website and paying, and they're making tens of thousands of dollars a month, and we just don't realize it. Because for me, as a person in Silicon Valley, right, I'm looking at all the businesses and I'm like, okay, I can totally see how Anthropic releases new lines of codes tomorrow and this business is done. And
It's not how consumers work. He's right.
Exactly.
It's not how it works.
Yeah.
And in fact, I would argue what I do for a living and what I'm obsessed with actually explodes in this next era. It's all going to be about brand because you have to discover it. In 30 years, by default, somebody would be like, oh, let me go to the main AI thing and I don't need to. But there's going to be a long period of time here.
Yeah. So there's this long tail we still need to adjust. Whereas humans, we take some time to adjust to new reality. So
when you're a Silicon Valley girl and you even know who Bill Gurley is, you live in a different world than the 99.9% of people on earth who've never heard of Bill.
And that's opportunity for everyone who's listening.
Correct.
Because transitioning to that era together with small companies, small businesses, other people educating them, I feel like there is a lot of potential there.
When you layer what I've been obsessed with about the last 20 years, which is there is a advertising and brand building ecosystem called social media that does not cost you money. And that's the point about AI apps. It really doesn't cost you money anymore to build something in the way that I grew up. But the fact that you can actually get awareness, that you're one TikTok away from having people know who you are and building a platform, that's intoxicating.
But do you have another worry? Talking about social media, right? I see a lot of AI content and we're getting flooded with so much content, so we're competing more. But also another thing that I'm always thinking about, what if this social media platform, like why would they pay human creators? Why would they not just, generate AI creators? This is much more personalized content. It's free and they don't have to pay anyone.
Well, platforms don't pay people.
Well, some of them do.
No, they really don't. Like Meta doesn't pay people, TikTok doesn't pay people. Like they don't pay people. They are an open vessel that people go on and create for, and then businesses come and sit in between people that make content and people that consume content, and then businesses advertise on there or go to a creator and do a brand deal. Now, if you're saying, why would L'Oreal go to you like they might today versus someone that looks kind of like you that they could even own, like a Mickey Mouse?
Exactly. And make 100 videos versus one.
They're going to do that. Now, right now, there's stigma around that. And big companies are scared to go too deep into AI because there's pushback. But over the next 5 to 10 years, they will. Now, what they might use you for, though, is you might be one of the 100 faces they use, 99 of which they own the IP. But you're going to be able to do this. I think the rise of analog value is going to be extraordinary. So we're sitting in this world right now where a lot of people behind the scenes doing stuff. I think, for me, and I think you know this about me, I'm comfortable and good in both environments, both with my thumbs and right here. That person's going to do incredibly well. The person that's very comfortable with analog, hosting a conference, having 25 people in this room right now while we do this, right? Brands are going to find incredible value in the analog world, real life, restaurants, real life studio podcasts. Like real life is going to explode. We're going to live in this barbell world, extreme technology, but extremely scaled. What we take for advantage, us four, is like, that's normal, like being outside, like a pop-up shop, going to a sporting event. They're going to continue to increase in value. And so, yeah, you're going to be like, the game's going to change. But I remind influencers are crying to me quite a bit right now. It's like, Gary, AI did it. I'm like, you took money from real celebrities. 20 years ago, none of us existed. And all of that money went to Jennifer Aniston. If you were on Shark Tank, you were the only business people. I, Gary V, do not have a television show I get comped for speaking fees and appearance fees greater than most of the sharks, right? That would have never been possible. So the world turns, shit changes.
We just get too comfortable in our space.
Well, what's funny is when we're young and we're disrupting something, we like it. But when we're the one that gets disrupted, we don't like it.
Yeah.
Right?
How are you adjusting your social media strategy?
Nothing because of what we just talked about. To me, I stay in, my last book I wrote was called Day Trading Attention. I live in that environment. So if AI wasn't even happening right now, I'd still be focused on what I'm focused on, long form written content. So much more Substack, Beehive, LinkedIn, X, longer form content. So I hired 2 full-time writers on my staff, journalists, who basically will listen to this entire interview. And he's going to come up with 15 to 20 follow-up questions, which is why I needed someone who had a journalistic background. Because if it was just transcribing, I can AI that.
Yeah.
And then we will create a first-person article about the barbell theory, why analog is on the rise, right? So a lot more written content.
Interesting. And I feel like it's becoming so much easier because I remember a couple of years ago, 4 years ago, I met someone from LinkedIn. They were like, you should be on LinkedIn. I'm like, I can't write. So I'm so bad at that. And then ChatGPT came around and my LinkedIn's growing like crazy.
Yeah, and I've always had ghostwriting infrastructure for my books because I've never been able to write. But I've always wanted it. You know, it's funny, every book I've written, everyone with my written content, people come up to me, they're like, man, it sounds so much like you. I'm like, it is fully me because it is truly transcribed from my words. I don't write differently than I talk because it's just the transcription. But so writing content, I'm incredibly focused on being, and this, I'm pushing my team right now on this, on just being remarkable on every platform, like obsession to how to win Snapchat Spotlight, obsession to understand how to be great at YouTube Shorts, to make sure I'm feeding the LLMs of Gemini with my content.
Why shorts, not long form?
Both. But I think, Shorts allows me to pump out a lot of how to, why, right? There's a little bit of a different thing there. So just hyper fixation on the craft of the written word, the images, testing new formats. I call it pack platforms. So I need to know everything that's happening on Substack, X, Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, Shorts, all that. That's algorithms within those. What kind of content, what format, what kind of, is it a reel? Is it a full, like with, on LinkedIn, is it right now, imagery is doing incredibly well. Video crushed last year. It's declining a little bit this month. Like so what's the algorithm within the platforms doing? And then C, culture. Like what is happening in popular culture across everything? Like America has long in popular culture fed from Black culture. Now we're seeing Hispanic culture. We're seeing Korean culture impact so much of US pop culture. Slang terms, quarter zip, Labubu's in then out, the Starbucks bear tumbler for 3 weeks, then not, Stanley Cups, then not.
I love your passion when you're talking about this. Like I see.
Well, because pop culture, baggy pants for guys, like pop culture is relevance, right? I can make one reference in here of something that's happening in popular culture. And then for somebody who's listening, if they're also into the same thing I'm into, immediately we are connected, right? We are connected by being born in the same place. Like people we're tribal. We love sports. Religion is because the way it is. Cultures, you and I met we're just from the same place. It is what it is. But by the way, when I walk outside right now, if somebody's wearing a Jets hat, they're immediately my brother.
Yeah.
So, I think pop culture, especially in B2B environments, is very misunderstood, but even B2C environments, the biggest consumer brands I work with in my day-to-day, I think they underestimate pop culture.
Yeah, even creators. Like I'm talking to so many big brands and they've never advertised with creators and I'm just surprised. Let me pause here for a second because what we've been talking about connects directly to something my team has been actively testing. Running a media company, the operational load never stops because you prep for podcast episodes, you have to push content to multiple platforms, and somewhere in between, a million documents landing in your inbox, waiting for your decision. That's our day-to-day, and a few weeks ago, my team started testing something that's been changing how we handle it. That's Axio Work. And what I appreciate most about it is that you can build a full secure agent team for your business, not just one AI. Each agent has its own identity, intelligence, tools, skills, and persona. You can create as many as you need, full custom, and they work in parallel with a pre-built library of connectors already set up. Gmail, Shopify, HubSpot, social platforms, nothing to configure. And here's what that actually looks like in practice. So for example, my team runs 3 agents, a strategist, a producer, a CPO. The CPO leads the agent team, keeping operations aligned and making sure nothing falls through the cracks. The producer works under the strategist. Content decisions are always backed by data before anything goes into production. Each agent has a defined role, a clear reporting line, and they coordinate directly with each other without me in the middle. You can also set up recurring scheduled tasks, things that run automatically every day without anyone touching them. Set a time, set a task, and it runs. For example, every morning at 10 a.m., my CPO agent sends the whole team a briefing with the latest industry news. No one has to ask for it, it just lands in the chat. Axio Work is built by Alibaba. 26 years of B2B infrastructure behind it. That's what makes it different from a generic tool. Right now, there's a limited time offer. 2 weeks of unlimited access to top-tier models, including Claude Opus 4.6. The link is in the description. So you're saying you're not running faster because of AI. You're just doing whatever you're doing.
I'm saying that I don't have a different social media strategy right now because of AI per se. If I wake up from a coma right now in 7 years and everything's different, it will not take me long to get back on the bike and be successful because I'll just spend 100 days paying attention to where is everyone paying attention to? Oh my God, AI changed everything. We're back to reading newspapers. Okay, I'm going to make newspaper ads. Like it's not complicated. The thesis is simple. Understanding and how to be good at the thesis is hard.
Has your hiring changed because of AI? How many people do you have now?
You know, it's funny you say that. We at Vayner, so I have many different companies, but the biggest one I run is VaynerX, Vayner Media, and there's Chuck Media and the Tamara Group, 3 very large advertising agencies, all of which do something pretty similar. We're exploding. And I'm having this very, very challenging game. I mean, I was in Seattle yesterday, as you heard before we went on here. I met with the 3 biggest companies that are HQ'd there, all of which are like, we want to do more with you. We want to do a lot with you. 2 that are already working with us, a 3rd that wants to jam with us. So the demand of customers is exploding. I still need an extraordinary amount of human beings because it's human-based business. Yes, I understand that AI can do the job of, it is not lost on me that 100 people can now do the work of 400 people. I'm just worried about the output wars of the future. What if you're competing with somebody that has 400 and you have 400? You cut 200 and they still have 400. And in our world, you and I, we're like, we're outflanking them. We're going to be better. We're going to make more EBITDA. But what if they weaponize those 400 people with the same tools that we weaponize our 200 people? In my world, advertising, if my 400 people now make 27,000 ads and your 200 people make 16,000 ads, for whatever human element is there, and I understand it doesn't work that way, but this concept of, is AI a shield and a sword and a gun versus rocks in a war, right? You would think 200 will beat 400, but what if the 400 also have shields, and so there's something here that I haven't fully figured out. I'm definitely being cautious. We are definitely first and foremost attacking things that do not have value. For example, if you're a project manager at Vayner Media and your sole, because every project manager comes in different shapes and sizes, but if you're the kind of project manager who only takes notes, like that is how that person has already been kind of smoked out and asked to do more.
Was there something that you transformed with AI within your team that blew your mind? You're like, oh my God.
My mind has not been blown since kind of I had a lot of friends in Silicon Valley talking that machine learning was getting better and better. And I was like, maybe I'm impressed on how fast everything is happening. But I'm in a point where like, yes.
It's normal for you now.
To me, basically, here's where my head's at. I'm going to take my phone and be like, build this app. I want to do this, enter, done. So if I'm already there, everything in between is just a step to that. That's where I think we're going.
Anything you transformed in your process, or you just started executing by yourself? I mean, like building apps?
Probably the biggest thing that happened to me is I am an anthropologist, pop culture strategist. So having that level of thinking power with me, that I used to rely on search and like just digging around the internet, that was profound.
I feel the same. When I was flying here yesterday, I was playing with Claude skills,
Yes.
which is like a skill that you can
Yes, of
build
course.
that executes for yourself. It was preparing me for this interview, and I was like, this is fascinating. I feel like I'm a superhuman with all these tools, because Perplexity Computer every day sends me stocks to buy. Claude skills does my research. It's just fascinating.
Yeah, but I also think it feels like a superhero today, the same way I felt with the iPhone. That first year with the iPhone. So I bought the iPhone the day it came out. Especially in New York, because of Wall Street and any big city, there was BlackBerry obsession. And I felt like a superhero that first year because I could go on the internet for real, not like the way the BlackBerry people could. And that gave me a hyper advantage. Like I would go and do, at that point I was already out about a little bit. I would go and do something and I could look something up before I like went on stage or went into a meeting. And that was like powerful in a way that, I didn't have to do with my laptop, even though that used to have that. It was just so fast. You feel like a superhero with Claude, Perplexity, GPT, Meta's infrastructure starting to get very impressive. To remind everybody who's listening, your grandmother in the office did not have internet, did not have AI, did not have social media.
Didn't have an office.
Didn't have an office, to your point. Did not have mobile computing, did not have computer in office, did not have internet. Like, yeah, I mean, this is just technology.
But do you feel that we're in this period of time and we are like 1% that are grasping technology? Do we need to run faster to make the most out of it? Or
Well, it depends on the human ambition. I mean, I think a lot of people are going to check out of this era. Let's talk about Silicon Valley. I have a lot of Silicon Valley friends who were psycho, all in, going so hard during early Web 2, 2005, 6, 7, 8, blogging, podcasting, and then social, who made enough money and are in a different part of their life now, who have given a shit about AI and blockchain.
But
Could care
somebody
less.
who wants to build wealth. I feel like this is just such an opportunity, and it's unique for the next 10 years. I feel like
Yes.
we have this year,
Yes.
and then it's basic for everyone.
I don't think so. I think that makes sense that you think that, and I understand that. I think you and I will see each other in 10 years and be like, man, you were right. It's just, as much as it looks like AI creates a winner-takes-all world, I have a funny feeling it's not going to.
Okay.
Because don't forget, there is the human, it's going to take too much time. Like, you know what people don't do well? Hang with me for a second. Let's play this game. Let's take that point. Let's say 10 companies won everything. Do you literally think that 8 billion people are going to be like, yeah, that's awesome?
No.
Okay.
And governments won't, yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's it.
It's just funny to hear this from you, because you're the one like, hustle, do this. Like,
People don't like to take my sentence in its totality. Hustle, go hard if you complain and are a crybaby and you don't realize that accountability can help you. Hustle if you like it so much that you would do it if it was free. I would build businesses if it was free. Meaning like it made me, like it's my joy. I build companies the way people like to go golfing and cooking and watching movies. It's more fun to me. It's so funny. We put on a pedestal someone who's a philosopher or a great reader. Someone who reads books all day in their rooms, a real thinker and writes. Oh, wow, so noble. That's what I do. I just do something with it on the other side. You know what I mean? So I think hustle, if it makes you happy, one could argue that the extreme opposite of hustle is what I also do. I mean, the more you know me, the more you would realize I'm incredibly detached from my career or my public persona. I'll make it very blunt. I don't give a about Gary Vee or my Vayner empire. I do not think it makes me better than. Who cares if I'm good at business? Some people are good at skiing. Some people are good at singing. Some people are good at writing. Like, it just happens to be something I'm good at. I have my self-worth wrapped up into who I show up as a human to people in my life. That I'm a nice guy. That when
was that a switch ever in your life? Or
absolutely not. Never. It was ingrained in me by my mother and my circumstances and my DNA.
What would you say to someone who thinks their worth is tied to their results? And that makes them very anxious in this era.
Correct. I would tell them that, first of all, it depends on what results, right? You know, if you're saying financial results.
I don't know. I'm in Silicon Valley.
Great.
Your company's valuation.
I would say I understand. It's a very common human trait. I would also say that almost everybody I know on earth that is wrapped up in that metrics mindset has incredible anxiety. And anxiety sucks.
How do you separate yourself from it? But I feel like it's easier to say for you because you have all the millions of followers already and millions of dollars.
You're saying that because you don't know me. If my friends that have known me my whole life will tell you that I have the millions of followers and dollars because I've always been this way. Even when
that's the reason. It's not the
right. My detachment, because I have an incredible relationship with losing. I like it.
What do you tell yourself when you lose?
That I sucked and that was funny and let's not try to do that again. And like, what can we do? Like, I love the challenge. You know, I was the kid when I was losing in sports or ping pong or pool, like I loved playing again. I loved playing again. I loved playing again. I didn't think me losing in front of my sister or mom meant that I was lesser than. I played outside of this short-term validation framework. And I also was incredibly structured to not struggle with peer pressure in high school and in college when so many of my contemporaries did everything for validation amongst their peers. I did not. And that was just tremendous parenting, luck of the draw with DNA, and the circumstances I grew up with.
What are you telling your kids?
Well, they're not me. I'm trying to leave deposits on that, but they're growing up in a very different environment. Now, luckily, my children share a lot of mine and my ex-wife's DNA. And are also a little bit cocooned. Like my 17-year-old daughter does not live her life for her friends or boys' attention. So she's cooking with gas. My 13-year-old son also, I would have said 3 years ago, I'm like, he's already starting to like really develop this. And so, you know, look, DNA is a real thing. And then when you have parents that are conscious and are pushing you on the right things, the only core thing they're for sure they have different is environment. I don't have this ideology for my children to be exactly like me or just like me, or they need to be hungry like I was. I want them to be happy and lack anxiety like I was. And that comes into this, not anything else. This.
Any tip how to teach that? I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I feel like they really rely on what other kids think of them. What do you tell your kids?
I pounded that narrative into my kid verbally.
You just tell them like you.
I think it's like as young as that, I would tell my children like people making fun of you, people saying you're awesome means nothing. How do you feel? What do you like?
Yeah, and learning not to react to positive things and negative.
The reason I can deal is I today have 95% validation, 5% skepticism and pushback. It's the goat emojis in my Instagram posts that I have to not pay attention to. Not the you suck, Gary, or you got lucky, or you know, you're a snake oil. Like to me, it's not hearing the accolades. I'm telling you that that's where the lack of anxiety comes from. I don't need to have a house or a plane or a third home or a Nobel Peace Prize or 40 million followers or an exit to impress Bill Gurley. I don't need that. It is not what my life is about. I like it, but I feel like I'm an athlete who wants to be great on the field, but off the field, that is not the man that I think I am.
I feel like everybody should learn this type of mindset, especially now, because also I have this question from my team.
Please.
Who read your piece, AI splits people into architects and masons.
Yes.
And half of my team thinks they're masons.
But they have the ability to become an architect.
So how do you deploy that mindset when you know you're losing right now because AI is replacing you? But how do you go to the next step of your career utilizing this mindset that I don't need external approval and this mistake of failure isn't me's?
How do you lose 25 pounds when you know you're not feeling great? I'm asking you.
Well, it's either or. You die sooner than if you don't.
Yeah, there's that outcome, but how do you do it? I'm not saying what the outcome is, and you're right about that.
Like, I don't know, I don't have this problem, so I can't relate. My husband has this problem.
Okay.
He loves sugar.
Yeah, me too.
So, yeah, he just feels worse. And for him, it's stopping sugar completely. That what works.
Yep.
Like completely.
But it's hard.
It is.
Like I go through patches where I also cut it out. So I'm your husband. I have the same issue. Sugar is the real bane of my existence. To me, let me tell you how I stopped drinking soda for every beverage 13 years ago. I hired a full-time person to literally 12 years ago. There would have been a man in here right now to make sure I didn't take a sip.
Really?
For 1 year, I took an extreme measure of babysitting to get me into the discipline. He suffocated me to then get into patterns, to get into the discipline, and then it became my norm. If you are a mason and you want to become an architect, you can cry about it. You can stop and start. We all stop and start in health, in wellness, in work, but you need for it to become your actual pattern. It becomes your norm. To your point, sometimes it's cold, but it starts here first. Like if I had that whole team right now, I'd be like, listen, you can do it. You have to believe that. If you don't, what are we going to do? Like it first starts mentally and then it starts physically. Like you need to start using these tools to help you think better, to put in the work. You need to start reading. You need to start doing this. You need to start hanging out with these people. Like you need to start taking from your leisure, which you're using to get escape from your concern. And you need to allocate some of your leisure time into more work. You have to go to the gym and eat better. That starts with your mind, but then it has to happen with your actions. And then you just have to stay into that conversation. Like this is staying in a conversation. The reason the world is so tight right now is we've stayed in a negative conversation for 10 years. But like my newsfeed is not politics. My newsfeed is not telling me that the world is going to My newsfeed doesn't tell me that my parents had it better than me. Like you're in control of your algorithm. You're in control of the people that you spend time with. Look at all the people that are listening to this right now. These people chose to follow you and listen to you. Some are here because this is the first time they're listening to you because they follow me. Knowing enough of your platform and definitely knowing my platform, these are people that are choosing offense. These are people that are choosing optimism. These are people that are choosing to try to figure it out. Yeah. That same person could have a twin sibling who right now, this is a Saturday morning that you and I are filming this, who might be watching Netflix this morning, which is lovely and you should have leisure. But why are they watching it? Are they watching it because they have a little side dish of leisure and enjoyment? That's beautiful. But if it's their main course and they're doing it because they had an anxious week and they're devastated that they have to go back Monday, now I'm concerned. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Like to me, leisure and escapism needs to be side dishes and amuse-bouches, not the main meal.
Yeah.
When it's the main meal, you are escaping your actual life that isn't going well.
Yeah.
And that's what I think.
Gary just told me that AI is splitting people into architects who build things and masons who do things. And most people don't even know which side they're on yet. Future Proof is my weekly newsletter where I break down exactly what architects are doing right now that masons aren't. The tools, the moves, the mindset shifts. Link is in the description. Please subscribe. It's absolutely free. And I talk about a lot of practical things there.
Let's talk about people who are watching who are immigrants, because I have a lot of immigrants watching. You came to America at age 3. I came when I was 25. For someone who arrives today, what is the first thing they should be doing?
I think it's a framework. It's funny, we used curiosity. I think it's a framework of self-awareness, humility, and curiosity. So self-awareness is if you come from Guatemala, Poland, South Korea, and you're here in the US, or by the way, you're an American who's deciding like, I don't, one of those people, which you're allowed, and you're moving to Sweden, or you're going from India to England, or England to Argentina. No matter what shift you're making, a lot of people listening here will move to other countries because of jobs. Their wife's the big executive, they're the entrepreneur, and she just got a big job, and now you're moving to Portugal. When you are new in an entirely new country, immigrant, I think there's 3 things to rely on. Number 1 is self-awareness. Who are you, right? When I came over, I was a kid, but the older generation, these people were engineers in the Soviet Union, and they were literally cleaning toilets.
Yeah.
That was the second part, humility. Humility is a superpower. I'm aware that my humility does not show up on the internet because that is not the way I communicate. But I will tell you that in my real life, behind the scenes, it is one of the beacons of my success. I've never gotten away from the kid that immigrated. Like, with all the stuff on paper, I still don't think I'm better than. I don't think I have earned the ability to not put in the work, or to be gracious, or to be kind, or whatever it might be. So I would say self-awareness. Who are you? What are you good at? You have to then see if that's available to you in the country. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Nuclear engineers from the Soviet Empire literally had to clean, toilets because America wasn't just giving them jobs. And then they had to build themselves up, and they owned a pharmacy later on. You know how it all worked out, right? Humility. I know that you were the big dog in India, but maybe here in Poland that doesn't work. Or you were amazing, you were a good creator in America, but now for some reason you live in Indonesia and you don't have that many followers in Indonesia. Humility, right? And then back to curiosity. For me, I would just, if again, face got ripped off like that John Travolta, Nicolas Cage movie, reputation lost. I find myself in Peru. This is where I'm going. Who am I? I have good people skills. I have work ethic. I know how to buy and sell. I know consumer behavior. Next, humility. I'll go work at a store as a cashier. If I have nothing. And then curiosity. At night, after I get back from the store, what's going on here in Peru? Like, where's my angle? What can I do? What can I sell? So that is my advice, that emotional framework. And then you have to act on it. Ego is just pure insecurity.
Yeah.
Ego is just pure insecurity. Yeah. Posturing, trying to be the big dog, that just means you're scared. That means you're
and that places limits on what you're doing because you're trying to feed your ego versus build something.
Yeah, you are not good internally. Thus, you must render your peacocking to trick everyone around you.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm not mad at that. Do you know that I'm not mad at people that are like that? I'm sad about it.
Yeah.
I wish they could like themselves for all. Do you know how many shortcomings I have? Plenty. We all do.
Yeah. Okay, if someone's watching right now and they're like, okay, I'm going to work on all of this, but I really want to build in this AI era, what do you think is the biggest opportunity right now?
It goes back to the last question. There's a million of them. I just don't know the person that's listening right now. For example, if you're overly charismatic, the biggest opportunity is to go live streaming on the internet and then drive all of that audience to an AI app that you built that's $10.
Before it's automated by AI, because have you seen in China how they're doing this
live?
They just basically put an item in front of the camera and it's automated, and there's this AI person already wearing it or showing it. It was crazy.
That's right, including the influencer is AI. It's me, and I put your face on me, and I'm a woman selling makeup. I mean,
but like when I think about this, like why would I start if it's already being automated?
Because everything you learn along the way will set up your next thing. What are you gonna do? Lay down and cry?
I don't know, find something else. Because I'm talking to a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
They're in this stage. They're like, oh, I really want to do this. But then, it's just going to be taken away by a big company in a week.
You're too young for this. But in 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9 in Silicon Valley, the same thing was being said. Why would I start this? Google's going to copy it. You're just talking to fake entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Real entrepreneurs are willing to lose. Real entrepreneurs know that the 2 years they work on something that Claude f***ed up was 2 years of them working on something that sets up their next thing. Real entrepreneurs don't know how to do anything else.
Yeah.
Real entrepreneurs don't lay down and cry. Real entrepreneurs don't say, I'll just go get a job. Real entrepreneurs are real entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that goes back to knowing who you are.
Correct.
And what your passion is.
And by the way, let me say something right now. This is actually a beautiful segue. I need everybody to hear this. If you're listening right now and you think you're an entrepreneur, but these last 3 minutes of this talk are triggering some weird feelings, do you know how awesome it was to be the number 7 at Facebook? Do you know how incredible it was to be the number 9 at Tesla? Do you know how epic it is to be number 34 at LinkedIn, Microsoft? I mean, like,
how cool it is to be a podcaster.
Correct. Like this concept that, like, again, I grew up, entrepreneurship wasn't even a word. Being a businessman was not cool. And then I, ironically, was part of the movement that kind of made this thing cool. But I have been talking for 10 years of like, please, it's only cool if you are that. It's cool. It's not cool to be a teacher if you're not a teacher. It's not cool to be, it's not cool to be anything if you're not actually,
that. Yeah. That is a good ending. And I have a few questions that are fire
rapid.
What are your top 3 favorite AI tools that you use daily?
GPT, Claude, and honestly, the Mangus is really in the is really
Metas?
I'm like just a couple weeks going in, but it's.
Do you use it for your Instagram?
Yeah.
I feel like they have access to all the data, so
Correct.
they can do better analytics than anyone.
Correct.
Okay, that's a good one to work on. What's your favorite prompt?
My favorite prompt is me intuitively feeling something that's happening in culture, right? I'll give you one right now. Does the baggy pants movement for men have another domino to fall? Like I will.
That's a very advanced prompt. So you know exactly what's happening and you're trying to predict what's next.
Correct. That is
Okay.
almost everything I'm doing is that. For me, for what I like to do
Yeah.
professionally and personally.
Okay. College degrees in 2026. Yes or no?
For 50% of the people that are listening right now, yes. They need that degree to do the profession legally in medicine. For the most creative and entrepreneurial people, yes, if mommy and daddy paid for it, because 18 to 22 as a full-fledged vacation to hang out with other 18 to 22-year-olds is a lot of fun.
It is.
And you will work your whole life. No, for 18 to 22-year-olds that are taking on substantial debt who are creative and entrepreneurial.
Yeah, makes sense. One industry to stay away from.
None. Everything's in play. Look, betting your whole life to be an admin who doesn't think. An admin that's a mason, not an admin that's architect, bad. Admin that's architect, huge. I'm going to hire people that have the power of 13 admins for me, and she or he is going to sit at the top of that, and I'm going to pay that person a fortune to make my life effective.
Yeah. And the last one. What's the most misunderstood thing about AI right now?
The counter to whatever anybody's thinking. So for the people that are delusionally thinking this is the greatest thing ever, the counter of the negatives that are going to happen. And for the people that think everyone's and China and Perplexity and Anthropic and America and Russia, and there's going to be 9 countries and 9 companies and everybody else is are out of their minds. The counter to the extremism of what people think.
Thank you for your positivity and energy.
You're welcome.
It's really charging, right? What you're saying gives energy to create versus like just lie down.
And I think that sits. Thank you, and I want to end with this. That doesn't sit in some blind optimism or even the great parenting that I was given. It sits in historics. It is historically true that we were scared of electricity, and it wasn't. We were historically true to get off the farms. We did so much more. Humans are great. I know we're told that we're not, but 99.999% of us are either neutral or great. And if I am wrong, here's why I'm this way. And if I'm wrong, I promise you're not going to worry about your job. If I'm wrong, we're all dead anyway. So either I'm right that you should choose practical optimism and there's going to be a million opportunities for you if you go insular and work on you.
Yeah.
Or if unfortunately I'm wrong,
then who cares?
I'll see you in heaven. Like this. I don't get it. It's not practical to be pessimistic and cynical. It is not practical.
Yeah. You heard Bill Gurley's name enough times today that I think you know what's coming. In our conversation, Bill shared a mindset shift that's worth every minute of your time. I put the video right here on the screen and let me know in the comments if you came from this episode with Gary. Hey guys, welcome to Silicon Valley Girl. Today we're going to talk about laziness, procrastination, and I just want to tell you that I'm going through a period of my life where I'm the least productive. If I take 30 years that I've lived already, I think this is the most unproductive time, which might seem
different from your perspective because you see me producing videos, you see me posting stories. But the thing is, in order to post 10 stories on Instagram, it takes me maybe like 30 or 40 minutes. But the rest of the day, I could be just, sitting and thinking that I don't want to do anything. There's no motivation to do anything. And I know what's going on in my life, so I know the reasons why this is happening. And I know that they're going to go away eventually. So my approach to this is I'm not going to fight it. I know it's not a depression. I know it's not something severe. It's not a reason to see a doctor. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of supporting myself during this period. But of course, if you feel depressed, if you feel that you need to talk to a specialist, don't hesitate. It's not a bad thing to seek help. Today, I'm going to talk about things that work for me in such situations. So first of all, right now, I have this period that's been lasting for several weeks, and it's going to last probably a couple more months or weeks. But before this, I would get those days maybe once a week or twice a week. Those days when you wake up and you don't want to do anything. You know how hard it was for me to wake up today and go to the studio?
No! God, please, no! No!
Like my only desire was to stay in bed and do nothing. Maybe scroll through my Instagram, maybe read some weird news that wouldn't help me understand the world better, but I didn't want to work at all. One thing that used to work for me, I would open Instagram, I would follow different motivational people, and I would see them achieving new results. I would drink coffee, I would see them starting companies, I would drink more coffee, and I would be pumped up for the day, and I will get over this. Unfortunately, this stopped working for me a while ago. I just don't get motivated by other people's success because I know there are a lot of things going on in the background that they're not showing, and I just don't get inspired anymore. So Instagram became this platform where I procrastinate, but I also understand that I have followers there and I need to produce content. So one thing that worked for me is that I unsubscribed from the majority of people from my main page. I only follow like 30 plus people, and the majority of them are muted. So whenever I open Instagram, I only see DMs from my followers, which I answer from time to time with the help of my assistant. And I also create my own content, which takes around 30 to 40 minutes a day. But then I have another Instagram profile that I used to follow my friends, that I used to follow everyone that I want to follow, and I only open it maybe once a day. Even before having a baby, I noticed that I spend 3 to 4 hours a day on Instagram, and I was like, this is crazy. It can't be true. So I put a timer on Instagram. I set it to 1.5 hours, and I barely hit this limit these days. Once I separated 2 profiles, one for following people for procrastinating, being lazy, whatever you want to do with it, do it, but on specific time during the day. And then another one is work. So when I open it, I only work, do the necessary things, and then I go back to my life. The second thing that really works is, a word must. This is the way I was brought up. I have a schedule on this channel, a video once a week. I have 2 more channels, a video once a week. I have a company, I have meetings that are scheduled every Monday. I have things that I have to do. And I know that, it's very tempting to lay in bed and just to do nothing. But the problem is the things will get much worse if I just do nothing for 2 months. And this doesn't mean that I don't have to take vacations. Vacations are super important. But if I understand that this is just a procrastination, this is just a period of life where I don't feel motivated to do anything, maybe it's time to kind of force myself to do that. There were so many moments in my life where I did that, and I'm so helpful to myself. For example, I had a crisis on my Marina channel, which is now 2.7 million followers. But I was so demotivated to post anything, I wanted to quit. I wanted to shut it down. Instead, I just made myself produce videos. And guess where it took me? 2.7 million. You need to understand whether you don't want to do a thing that used to bring you joy, or it's the thing that you have to do and you never enjoyed it. So if it's this thing, something that you have to do, you never enjoyed it, then this is a real problem. Here you need to think whether you need to change your life, need to change your career, need to change things that are going on. If it's a thing that you really love, like I love making videos, I love running my company, I love what we do, but there are days when I just think I want to quit. So on these days, I just make myself work. The first time that I noticed that it worked for me was performing at a theater in St. Petersburg, and I had something like a food poisoning, and I wasn't feeling well, I had slight fever, and I thought I could lay in bed, but I could also go on the stage. And the moment I went on the stage, everything disappeared because I started doing the thing that I loved. It was really hard for me to go on the stage. It was really hard for me to get out of bed. But once I got out, the things changed completely. Today is the same thing. I came to the studio being like this, but now, I'm talking to you, I'm producing content, I'm doing what I love, and the perspective changes. Another thing,
When I was a kid, my family and I used to go to a swimming pool every Sunday. And every Sunday when the pool session would finish, I would stay in the shower for half an hour thinking about Monday, that was the following day. And I would be thinking like, oh my God, I have maths, I need to learn this poem in English, I need to this and that. And it was so daunting. I hated Monday because it seemed like a huge problem. But the thing is, my Sunday was spoiled by those thoughts, by the way. But the thing is, when I came to school on a Monday, I realized it wasn't that bad. And that happened every single week. And then I started telling myself, Marina, you seem to overcomplicate things. And when you actually start doing them, when you come to school on Monday, it doesn't seem that bad. Why do you keep doing this to yourself? And this is what we keep doing. We keep overcomplicating things. We keep making them big. Like, instead of thinking, I just need to put my makeup on and create a script, we're thinking, oh my God, I need to put my makeup on. I need to go to a studio, do this and that. And when our brain sees this amount of work, it just refuses to do it. But if you just tell yourself, there's one small thing I need to do right now, put on my makeup. There is one small thing I need to do right now, pack my uniform to get to the gym. Then it would get easier. You just need to get in the process. You just need to get yourself out of your bed and get yourself going. This really, really helps me. By the way, I am the person who hates schedules. I am a person who wants freedom and, I want to decide every day what I want to do. But I also understand that if I want to continue going to my goals, if I want to continue achieving my goals, if I want to continue going through this life, I need those schedules, especially on days and weeks that I'm going through right now, when I feel demotivated, when I feel really lazy. Guys, I just want you to know that if you're feeling this way too, you're not alone. The whole world is in this situation. We are in the middle of pandemic. We're in the middle of lockdowns. We are studying remotely. We don't see our friends. We don't go out. We are stuck at our homes. And we're in the middle of winter is coming. It is dark and cold in a lot of countries. So it is okay to feel demotivated. It is okay to procrastinate. Just understand that you're gonna get through this. It's gonna be over, hopefully very soon, and you're gonna go back to your normal life. Just continue doing things that you love. Continue mastering your skill. Continue achieving your goals. Don't waste this time. And whenever you feel lazy, whenever you feel demotivated, come back to my profile, because I'm going through this as well. Come back to this video. And I'm just hoping that this video will help you get through this period of our lives. Thank you guys so much for watching this video up to the very end. If you're not yet subscribed to this channel, there is a red button below if you liked it. Hit the like button. I'll see you very soon in my next videos. Bye-bye. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about what it's like to be poor in California. We're going to talk about who's considered low income and who's considered very low income. We're going to go to one of the cheapest grocery stores here, and we're going to buy groceries for a week for a family of 4. Let's do it. I live in one of the most expensive places in the United States, in the Bay Area. And according to statistics, nearly half of people who live here are considered low income or very low income. Let me explain what this means. There is this notion called median income. What it means is that there is a number, which is this income, and half of the population makes less and half of the population makes more. So if we talk about the Bay Area, we have counties where the median income is $108,000 for a family of 4 per year. But we also have the San Francisco area, which is slightly more expensive, and there the median income is $121,000 a year for a family of 4. And basically, in order to be considered low income, you need to make 50 to 80% of the median income. Translating this into real numbers, if you live in the Bay Area but not in San Francisco, you need to make from $54,000 to $86,000 to consider low income. And if you live in San Mateo, San Francisco, and Marin counties and make from $60,000 to $97,000 a year, you're also considered low income. Okay, let's go get some groceries. I'm gonna you mentioned programs from California or federal programs that are supporting low-income Americans, I think it's important to give everyone who's coming from abroad this perspective of how expensive Silicon Valley is. I remember when we first came here as 3 co-founders. We came from Russia, and I was used to like very low standard of living. We paid $2,600 for a 1-bedroom apartment here in Mountain View. 3 of us stayed there. We bought cheapest groceries. We would go to every startup meetup so we could eat for free there. We would go to every party so we could eat for free. We try to save on everything. And I know that a lot of people come here for opportunities. You need to be ready for this type of environment. I mean, the prices, the level of projects that you're getting for this price, because you should have a clear purpose why you're coming here. And I'm actually glad we didn't have kids earlier, because it would have been really hard, like having limited work hours as a mom, not relying on the government, on the state when you have a baby, because the paid maternity leave here is 6 weeks compared to like 3 years where I come from. I think it's really important to understand what's going on here in terms of prices. This is actually the cheapest store. I googled it and I already see price differences. So raspberries are $2.99, elsewhere $4.99, but I can say like I've seen raspberries for $9 as well. Alaskan wild salmon. Oh, this is all black. Avocados, 3 for $5. Let's take 3. My kids love canned corn and canned peas, so this is what we're gonna get. Let's actually calculate how much money people have here to spend on groceries. Let's take a number that's considered to be low income, which is $90,000 a year in San Mateo County. If you Google how much people pay in taxes here in California, and of course every situation is different, but Google tells me that if you make $90,000 a year, you end up paying around $17,800 in taxes. This leaves you with $6,000 net a month. On average, you need $3,000 to rent a 2-bedroom apartment here. So let's assume this family is renting something like this. This means that after you deduct your rent, you end up with $3,000 a month for groceries, medical expenses, clothing, maybe some savings because you want to pay for your kids' college later. You need gas, you need to pay for your car, and everything else. Don't forget about retirement if your company doesn't do that. Let's get some pasta. My kids love this one. 89 cents. Granola for $1.99. Quick oats for $2.99. Here, I'll get some apples. $3.99. $4.69 for a dozen of organic eggs. Bananas, $2.99. What I'm noticing is that prices are pretty similar to Costco, but because the store is a little smaller, you don't get this huge variety of brands. Okay, I'll get some milk. $6.29. This is more expensive than I expected. $6.29 for a gallon of organic milk. Oh, let's get sour cream. $2.79 sour cream. Okay, veggies. My favorite salad mix costs $3.69 here. Okay, let's grab potatoes. Potatoes, $3.49. I assume that you would try to fit all of your expenses, grocery expenses, into $500 a month, because otherwise it might get tricky, like with cars and medical stuff. Okay, let's get chicken, organic chicken. We love these, $3.39. Okay, let's get two. $3.69, $3.39.
Organic ground beef, $5.99. Expiration date, let's check it. Oh, it's actually 13. Wow, it's April 13th. This is what I was told. People told me to check the expiration dates because they're normally here because they're able to reduce the prices. They're actually really close. Okay, so we need to freeze it today. I'll make sure I do it. There's actually another category of families here in the Bay Area that's considered very low income. In order to be considered very low income, your income has to be less than 50% of the median income, which for San Mateo County is $60,000 a year for a family of 4. And even imagining that they have a lot of tax benefits, and let's imagine they pay 0 tax, which is impossible. I still think they pay something. But even with $60,000 a year, you're left with $5,000 a month, of which $3,000 to $4,000 would go into rent, unless you own a house and you bought it years ago so you don't end up paying a huge tax on your property. Let's get some butter and salted extra creamy. Made with sweet cream. What does that mean? Cream natural flavor. Oh, can we have something natural? Okay, natural. Does it have any flavors? It does. Natural flavor. Okay, ghee. Does it have any flavors? No. Oh, this one is raw, so it's just butter. Okay, perfect. What about this one? Oh, this is interesting. This is with avocado oil. And so, okay, let's get this one. This is all the natural ingredients. So basically butter, avocado oil, and salt. No flavors, no nothing. So we'll get this one. $2.49. It's actually a good deal because this brand is super expensive. Their eggs sell for like $6 or $7. Okay, $2.49. If you're watching from Europe, I have my favorite cheese, which is called Alterman, which is from Finland. So Havarti is American version of Alterman, my favorite cheese. $3.50. It's also important to remember that higher education in the US is not free. And I assume that the family of 4 that has 2 kids would want to save something for their kids for college. But being in the Bay Area with low income makes it really, really hard. This retails for almost $2 at Whole Foods. This is a good deal. I'm gonna take 2. The honey is not too cheap, $7.99. Eta Sport in German, $1.99. A family of 4 with an income of around $40,000 or less is considered to be living under the SPM in the Bay Area. An SPM, Supplemental Poverty Measure, takes into account the local cost of living and government benefits a person receives. So if you make $40,000 a year in California, you would end up paying $7,600 in taxes, but I assume there would be child tax credit and there would be other tax benefits. So for this video, let's assume that the taxes are $5,000, which leaves us with $2,900 left for paying the rent, paying for groceries, car, medical expenses, etc. So because we're talking about San Mateo County, I decided to see what's the cheapest 2-bedroom rental that I can find here. And so here's this house for $1,950. So after you pay rent and taxes, you're left with $950 per month for a family of 4 to pay for gas, car, and everything else. So after I came back from the grocery store and we started editing the video, I also realized that when I was buying, I was thinking about my family. And in my family, we have 2 very small kids. One goes to daycare, so doesn't really eat at home. My husband works from the office sometimes, so he eats there. I don't normally eat a lot, so we're not a family with like 4 adults who eat 3 meals a day. And of course, every family is different. So again, I was thinking about mine. But if you would assume that you have a family with 4 people and the kids are grown up and they don't have 3 meals at school, they eat most of their meals at home, then of course you would need to buy a lot more food, maybe double that. Okay, let's go to the checkout and see how much I will end up paying.
Thank you, you too. Okay, I have a receipt here for $85. There was no tax. There was just one item that was taxed. It's nail polish. I took it. Just because, you know, we want this clear experiment. Of course, you're gonna end up buying shampoos. Of course, you're gonna end up buying shower gels, etc. But if you don't eat anything extra, I think $70 per week per family is doable. If you're okay with a very simple menu, like chicken, meat, pasta, potatoes, so nothing special, but very healthy. So I try to take everything that was organic. I try to avoid processed foods just because you will end up paying more for your healthcare. This is my attitude for life.
So it looks like if you're trying to save on groceries in the Bay Area, you would end up spending around $400 a month. Which means that if you make $90K a year, after paying taxes, rent, and buying groceries, you would end up with $2,600. If you make $60K as a family of 4, after paying your $3K rent and buying groceries, you're left with $1,500. And if you're officially poor, under $40K, after paying for groceries, a family of 4 is left with just $600 to pay for gas, medical expenses, clothes, and other things.
Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video up to the very end. I hope it was useful and I hope it was insightful for you if you're considering California as your next place to move to. Let me know what you think. Let me know how much it costs in your country to buy something similar for a family of 4 for a week. I'm gonna read your comments down below. Thank you so much. And please subscribe to this channel. See you soon.